Hello, my loves, and welcome to this episode of Soul, Strategy, and Sovereignty, the place for soul led business owners scaling to seven figures and beyond, not just with their soul, but with their energetically led strategies and with their own personal sovereignty. All of the things that they love doing that bring them so much joy and pleasure and that spread their mission to the world and beyond. Today we're here with Sarah, and I'm going to let her go ahead and just start introducing herself. She is a wonderful specialist living in Canada, but sharing her mission all over the world of people specializing in subconscious reprogramming and nervous system work, which, as we know, for all of us very conscious awakening business owners, is just so crucial and important today. So go ahead, Sarah, if you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and the work that you do.
Yeah, hi Lauren. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually super excited to just like jam a little bit and talk about the topics that we discussed. Hi everyone who is there listening to our episode. I'm Sarah, originally born in Germany, but moved last year to Canada, and I am a hypnosis mentor, money hypnosis coach, and yeah, I really love to help soul-led and action-oriented business owners to really help them scale in their business, not necessarily through a lot of to-do lists or a lot of strategy, but especially through subconscious rewiring and subconscious recalibration, and really scale through the inside out instead of outside, and through a lot of work and hassle. And yeah, that's who I am, and that's what I've been doing for the last, with a little bit of a break, but for the last like 4-ish years.
Yeah, and it is so important. Again, the more awakened and the more conscious that we become, especially as business owners, we start to become so much more aware of the old programs and maybe even the traumas that cause us to have so many limiting beliefs that keep us at either maybe not starting our businesses in the first place or keep us at like a certain income level in our businesses and that sort of thing.
Absolutely, I agree. I feel like um, there's like, especially now in this time where we cannot deny all the shifts that has happened, and the consciousness that has been rising and awakening. And so I just know like so many wonderful souls that are out there ready to build something for themselves because they feel like calling. And I was at the exact same place, and they have their calling, but then there is like so much fear around, oh, this is not sustainable, or will I make it? And the fear of failure, and so much fear what others are going to think. And I've definitely dealt with all of this. I feel like it's not like, and especially as women, like I feel like there's also like a huge difference between women and men. Like oftentimes like how we are getting to start our business. And I can like I just really notice like how important it is to work on those beliefs, even much more than just like, grinding it out and just put your head down and just implement a strategy and just keep working a million hours a day, because that's literally what is not working on a universal uh law actually anymore. Like this is going to shift more and more, and it already has started to shift more and more. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Do you also feel like part of the reason why those tactics and those strategies aren't working anymore is not just because of like the collective energetic shift and the paradigm shifts that are happening globally right now, but also because we're seeing so many more women that are rising up into positions of business ownership and leadership. And I guess what I mean by that more specifically is like when we think about kind of exiting this paradigm of like, well, we just got to put our head down and we just got to grind and hustle and just chase, right? Like that's not inherently a bad or a wrong thing, but it is a very masculine thing, and as
Yes.
women, we're just not coded that way, right? So, like, part of the paradigm shift isn't just the awakening of the collective conscious, it's also that we're having more femininity stepping
Yes.
up into leadership.
Absolutely. I love this actually. That's just literally like when you said, I was like, yeah, that is actually so true. I love this because like traditional businesses, right? They're usually built from man and like how they would build it. And it works so different for them than for women. Of course, like also as women, like we also need some structure. We cannot just like float around and be like, da, 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 da. But it is very different. I feel like for women, it's like so much more important to bring the masculine energy and the feminine into a balance, especially when we're building those holistic businesses instead of just like adapting what the, I'm sorry to say this, the masculine marketing strategy guru is saying. And then we're wondering, because of what exactly what I was wondering as well, like why the fuck is this not happening? Like why is this not working for me? Because it is something that does not align with the business that we want to create itself. And it also doesn't align with us as a female entrepreneur who sees the bigger picture, right? Yeah, I do feel like that has shifted a lot. Like, I would say since the pandemic, like, I feel like since that, like, it has changed a lot. Yeah. And I feel like there's still lots of catching up to do. I do think there's still lots of awareness that needs to be created around
Mhm,
it.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so when it comes to that kind of awareness, like, obviously your awareness started somewhere, so do you wanna talk a little bit about how you came into this line of work and what really
Sure.
sparked you into this?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to know from you, by the way, as well. Yeah, totally. So basically, I guess like really like it started with me seeing that I really hated my job. I was working in a 9 to 5. I was working as a bartender, and at the same time I would start for the first time my own little business adventure with an online shop. And I noticed like I was working at that time, like it felt like all I was do was would just work, and I would invest a lot of money into building my little business on the side, but it didn't go anywhere. And I was like, I was literally not that like masculine mentors are amazing, like they have so much value to bring, but I was also learning from a male marketing strategist, and I was like implementing all of the steps, and it literally didn't get me anywhere. And I was like, wow, this is like horrible. Like, why am I like, I'm just investing so much? Like, it feels like I'm working on the side to just like reinvest, but nothing is coming out of it. And it did not feel really aligned at the same time. And then, yeah, and then like, I stumbled across like a free hypnosis from one of my mentors. I've been with her actually for a long time in a Facebook group. And then she was talking about like, she was doing like a money hypnosis. Like, I was like, okay, this is so cool. So you can talk to money. Okay, this is so interesting. And beliefs about money. I'm like, okay, I haven't done anything around that. I feel like I've tried everything else. So let's see, let's try this. And yeah, so I've went through a whole process with her courses, and it literally like it changed my life in like no time. Like in like 3 4 months, I had like all these job opportunities coming to me. I really started to connect with myself again. I found my true purpose, like my calling. I felt like I rediscovered a part of myself that I've forgotten and neglected for like my entire life. And yeah, like my income started to triple during the pandemic. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like so amazing. Everyone has to do hypnosis. Like, I cannot believe it. Why isn't everyone doing this? Like, why isn't everyone doing this? I just loved it so much. And so that's kind of like how my whole journey started. Like, it basically found me, I would say.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Isn't that how, like, all of the the best things that come to fruition, isn't that always how you're like, I had no idea, but
Yeah.
it found it found me. But I think it's also it brings such a beauty also for me specifically too in a resonant way of like the things that find you when you feel like you're kind of at your rock bottom, like really, you know,
Mhm.
the point where you said that you had tried everything, right? And so that also speaks to the fact that leading up to COVID and during COVID, the vast majority of the business coaches that we saw, especially in the online space, were either men or women practicing very masculine
Yes.
strategies.
So true.
But I love what you said, how even when you were trying to do those things because you felt like you were in a place of like, well, I just don't know what else to do. So here's this person telling me to try these things. I'm trying these things. It still doesn't feel aligned. You can still tell, even inside of yourself during that point in time, like, yeah, this might be a way for some people, but this just isn't for me. And it's this great rock bottom point of not only did the right thing find you, uh, but then all of a sudden, it was at the same time a great remembrance, right?
Yeah.
This deep, like, remembrance of your own soul and your own calling of, like, yes, I am here to create this thing, but how I create it also very much matters
Yeah.
to the path that my soul is meant to take in this lifetime.
Absolutely. I so agree. Like I couldn't. Like I feel like maybe all like also from the past because I kind of like forced myself into a lot of boxes just from like family projections and like what people expected me to do. Like I had a like way before I had a little bit of a path of like or a few years where I was like really trying to do something else, but that's just kind of like slipped back into what everyone else was expecting of me. And I just realized this is not a way. And as you said, like you've hit rock bottom and it really brought the breakthrough. It absolutely like I could not believe it at that point. I'm like, how this all like happened to me in the most positive way um because I had no intentions of becoming an online coach. Like I was watching everyone else, it was like, yeah, this is nice, this is cool, but I'm just gonna like watch from here. And yeah, like it just really called me. And it is just sometimes we really, really have to go through those dark nights of the soul. And even when it's really, really hard in that moment, that's like where the true awakening lies, and that's where the true expansion is coming from. Like
Mhm.
there is unfortunately no growth without it. Like yeah, otherwise we wouldn't be on planet Earth. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, we're not gonna see the growth that we wanna see if we're not willing to admit that we've just simply outgrown the
yeah,
environment that we're in and the paradigm that we've been operating from, right? Which is like some of the most uncomfortable shit that us awakened conscious people have to go through in business and life all the time is that like, okay, like I've been kind of in this cocoon and now I have to admit that I've been keeping myself in this cocoon and it's time to come out.
that is so true. And honestly, like I feel like the universe is gonna if you don't want to, it's still like it's gonna slap you in the face and be like, you're gonna come out because I have other plans for you. Like it's not gonna like if there is how do I say this? If there is a calling for you, if you're meant to do something, the universe is going to make sure you're gonna do it. And it's not gonna give up until you understood the point, the lesson, whatever wants to come through for your evolution. So yeah.
Yeah, which I think is so great because so many of us somewhere on our journey, the vast majority of us will get linked up with different kinds of manifestation techniques somehow, some way, right? And
True.
when that starts to happen, we will inevitably hear the phrase that like what's meant for you will always find you. Like what's meant for you will never pass you up. Like there's no such thing. That's not how the universe works. And I think when we're so focused on building the business so that we can serve the clients and make the money, it's a thing that we like to tell ourselves to be like, oh yeah, that sounds nice, but it's hard to believe in it until you experience that, where, like, it's it actually, when you experience that in real life, it's not usually like sunshine and rainbows, it's not a happy
No.
feeling usually. It's usually when those moments when the universe is like, "I have been trying to get you out of this thing for so long, and you're not listening, so now I'm gonna give you a swift kick in the ass so that you can't avoid it anymore." Like,
It's
but then
absolutely
that's
true. Mhm. Yeah. Oh my God. Tell me all about it. Yeah.
but, I mean, hey, like, it is true, though. It's true that what's meant for you cannot pass you up. Sometimes that just means that it comes in a rather uncomfortable way.
Yeah, like if you're not willing to learn the lesson, like it's just gonna come back in like multiple different ways, and most likely it's gonna get more uncomfortable like every time it happens again and again until you understood what you're supposed to be doing and what you're meant to be. And I'm just like so glad that there's like so much awareness right now around these things, right? I feel like yeah, I feel like back in the days, right? Like when I think of my parents or especially in my grandma, um, I'm pretty sure they were supposed to be doing something else, but honestly, like the wake up call, like people would just really refuse it, right? So I feel like it's actually beautiful how we are like also like all like have this wisdom right now that can be shared and be like, hey, like we can add a little bit to it, to the awakening, like, hey, there is something meant for you, so why don't you listen, man? Like and I feel like that might have been like probably like much harder, right? um Years back, but it's just so good like how this like whole shift is happening around the globe, and with everyone being able to contribute to it, whatever their calling is, right? Because we definitely, yeah, like there's definitely much more higher callings for us than just, I don't know, sell, coffee or whatever, like whatever that might be. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it reminds me so much of even 5 years ago, even 10 years ago, as women like us started to take positions of leadership. Um, Maybe even if it wasn't necessarily business ownership at first, but it seemed like the kind of big overarching message of the time was like, there's enough space for everybody, there's enough money for everybody, and it took humanity a while to kind of catch up to
Yes.
that. Like, there's enough space for everybody, there's enough, there are always going to be enough people out there that are not just looking for something similar to what you offer, but they're looking for exactly what you offer. And it just kind of took all of us stepping into our power to create the things that we were meant to create in order for those people to come and to be served by us so that they could continue to serve, whoever they're meant to serve, and to create that ripple effect going outward.
Yeah, that is right. Like that narrative has definitely shifted. Or it definitely should continue shifting more and more, right? Like that there's like a unique place for everyone. And as you said, there is like scarcity is man-made, right? There's enough resources for everyone. And then there is not just one person like who can take over everything. Like there's a place and space for everyone's knowledge and heart and wisdom. And of course, like it's gonna look different for everyone, but especially when we're talking about entrepreneurs, female business owners creating their holistic business. Yeah. And I feel like there's still like so many more people, right? We're just really talking about the Western world right now, right? Like if you look at other countries, at other places like Asia, Asia or Africa, right? Like there's like so much more awakening that needs to happen there as well. So I'm actually excited to see how this is going to play out in a 10, 20 years back? Like, how will it be then, now that I'm thinking about it?
Yeah, I am too, actually. And I know that's something that also trips up a lot of people, especially when they are earlier on in their businesses. And as we're talking about,
Mm,
what everything that you do that is subconscious reprogramming and nervous system calibration, right? That, like, one of the things that I think people are very largely getting stuck on right now is instead of being excited to see how consciousness awakens globally in the places where it hasn't totally kind of caught on yet, and instead being so scared of the things that are just going on now, and scared of perhaps the possibility of a negative or unhelpful trajectory that might take, right? So
mm.
is this something that you find with your clients a lot, that they get super like, but look at what's going on in the world today?
That's actually a good question. To be honest, luckily, not too much. It's not like something that they're like really afraid of. Like, um, maybe it is because like I'm talking a lot about like money, and we're talking a lot of like how scarcity is not real. Maybe that's why it's not really a theme, because at the end of the day, there is enough money to go around for everyone. It's more about the contribution. And like, I certainly don't believe that just because like the media makes the economy look a certain way, that our business is not going to flourish. Like, I really don't believe in any of this. So yeah. But I can imagine, like, I can really, really see how, as you said, like, how this might scare a lot of people, maybe to even start a business. Like, I can see how this will scare people, to even stepping into their power, or to just raise their prices, or I don't know, to put out certain offers, right? Or maybe to have this feeling of I have to work harder to get clients, or I have to work more. Um, when that is definitely not true. Or maybe also the scarcity of like, okay, but what if there are like even more coaches out there? Like, will I even be able to get clients or whatever, right? Yeah, how is that in your world? I would love to know, actually.
Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot of that scarcity going on with my clients a whole ton, thankfully, but it's more of like an energy that a lot of them feel. Like, I work with a lot of business owners and people in higher levels of management that are very empathic, as my crown chakra is itching right now. um, um, they're very empathic, and a lot of them are very clairsentient as like their primary form of
Yeah.
intuition, and sometimes they're very super hyper well aware of that, and sometimes they're like, man, I feel these things, and they're like not super in tune with that's how their intuition works. um so it's not so much that they get caught in the schemas of like there's not enough money to go around, but it's more like they kind of get caught up in like, how on earth can I be putting out, like you said, how can I be putting out this offer? How can I be focusing my energy on these things when like there's so many other things going on in the world that I could be focusing my energy on? And while I'm not saying that that's a wrong or a bad feeling to have, um, I do want to say, like, if you're listening to this and that's you, that not everybody's calling is to be the martyr, right? Like, if you're listening to this, it's probably because you were not called to be the martyr. Like, you're not the person that's called to like drop their whole life and go join the Peace Corps so that you can work for pennies a day doing some really hard, laborious stuff in some really dangerous areas around the world, where maybe you might make an impact on like a few people if you work really hard and do it for a really long time. Like, if you're here, like, we can recognize that those things are going on in the world, and recognize that by building and scaling our businesses and amplifying the powers that we have, that we are effectively contributing to the greater consciousness of the world. like even in your own little corner of the internet, like that's where it starts. But when you trust in the frequency, you know that the frequency carries
Absolutely.
across time and space, since time and space don't actually exist, right? So that also kind of gets into that whole aspect of like where the physical reality meets the quantum field and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like there's just maybe just a big, not even a bigger picture, just a different picture, just a different angle for someone to focus. Like I also like when we talk about like what's going on in the world and stuff, like I know, I honestly, and this sound maybe horrible, but I barely read any news. Like I kind of like sort of know what's going on, but I know if I'm like digesting this or like reading this is like before work or even just 5 minutes in between, I know my energy is just gonna be gone for the next 2 hours. So that's especially how you said like a very like clairsentient people or um empath, like we're just going to pick all of that up and like maybe the focus is just more to change the world through your work by focusing on something else that's going to have this ripple effect, right? Like we just
Mm-hmm.
that's also probably like just knowing yourself to a certain degree what's good for me and what's not, because yeah, like at the end of the
Right.
day, yeah, you go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it brings to mind also the remembrance, right, that your energy, even if you don't necessarily have hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars of your business or your life hasn't gotten you there yet, that your energy is still your currency, right? Your attention is still your currency. So to the point that you're making, like if you're giving your energy and attention to your clients and you're serving them and you're, posting on your socials and serving more people that are following you just by serving them with your message and doing all of that kind of wonderful God's work, but then you go turn on the news, then you've now, instead of investing your energy and attention, now you've essentially just taken a whole 2 hours of it and thrown it in the garbage because you can't do anything about what's going on over there. So it's not actually in service the way that we often think that it is, right, to go do those things. And so it matters so much more to kind of stay on the track that you're on, where you can really focus on making the investments where it really counts. Initially, I think with your time and energy and attention, but even as you start to build your business and your life and come into higher levels of wealth and money, that then you say like, okay, I'm really glad that I just focused my energy when it really mattered, because now I have $10,000 that I can spend to go build a well in Africa.
Yeah,
Like, now
exactly.
you have the money where you can put the money where it's going to make a difference, as opposed to like, well, I just turned on the news and now my day's fucked.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love like how you played out the scenario. 100%. I absolutely agree with you on that. And as I said, like it is also like literally an energy of scarcity and fear and despair and horror, let's be real, that when you turn on the news, like that is an energy that like completely like derails you from what is actually important and how you could actually change the world. So yeah, we got to be cautious what to take in for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when it comes to the work that you do, what do you find are like some common threads of where the scarcity for women in business tend to pop up for you?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I would definitely say fear of being judged. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, fear of being judged by others, being seen, what will my family think, what will my friends think, not necessarily strangers, like I feel like we don't care too much about strangers, or yeah, usually it's like the people close by, and especially the fear of being not part of the tribe anymore, because you will evolve, and I can guarantee everyone when they're coming to me like something, you have to leave something behind. That's absolutely going to happen. Like, I feel like I haven't seen any of my clients. Like, you're going to leave something behind and you're going to receive lots more, but you will leave people behind. You will change so much that they cannot, like, the energies will simply not, like, when, like, literally frequency wise, the energy is not going to match anymore. And so that's why some people, yeah, like, you will let go of them. So that's usually a huge fear. Fear of being seen, for sure, as well. Like, you know, putting yourself out there, like a raw, uncommon truth you might want to share, you might want to say. Then in general, the fear of, you know, like, how much can I charge? Will people pay me this? Is this, like, even worth, like, who, like, I'm afraid that I'm gonna raise my prices. Will someone pay this? Right? Um, I feel like that's usually the most common ones. Yeah. And
That's really interesting. So a lot of it really is around visibility.
it is, yeah, it is definitely around visibility. Yeah, that's right. It is around visibility, being seen, being raw, and not necessarily, how do I say this? Like, it, of course, like, it always, right, like, depends, like, which clients are coming in or the level that I am in, like, the people that I am attracting. But usually the fear of, you know, will people pay me this? And the fear of, what do I want to say? Judgment, I already noticed, but the fear of failure. Like, is this going to work out? What if it's not going to happen? What if I have to shift my business idea in between? What if I have to shift the concept, right? So yeah. So it is definitely
Yeah.
about ability, and of course, like, honestly, like, money just to a certain extent anymore. Not like I'm afraid I cannot pay my bills anymore. Like, that's not the case. Like, people are resourceful. But yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. And so I know that when we talked last week a little bit about the way that you work with your clients, you talked about using kind of a blended methodology that you created yourself. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So basically what I do is I've learned a few healing techniques. So I've learned hypnosis, timeline therapy, um, NLP, energy healing, also a little bit of Reiki and tapping. And I recently also, like, learned more and more about the nervous system and how it, like, actually creates this, like, base foundation. And I've kind of, like, bring all of that together. So I have, like, my little mental toolbox, my little tools that I can reach into. And then usually in the process that I have with my clients, I pick and choose what it's aligned in that moment. So sometimes I will bring in, I don't know, gonna bring in a timeline therapy session, and clearing a belief. But then at some point, maybe there's I don't know, I can feel there's an energy entangled, so we got to clear that as well. So yeah, so I bring them together, and I've found it, like, a very powerful toolkit to have, to kind of, like, whatever comes up, we can work on it and clear it. So yeah, I call it quantum frequency coding, just for the heck of it. But it basically, like, it brings everything together. And I started recently implementing the nervous system regulation, because I've noticed how much I've been in survival mode, and, like, literally living in survival mode on a day-to-day basis, and how this also, like, I see it in people all the time. So we're, like, still in this, like, survival mode, and I'm definitely on a mission to bring people in my surrounding out of that daily fight and flight mode that they are experiencing. And we operate so often in that dysregulated nervous system, and we don't even know. So I found that to be incredibly powerful. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. It is really wild to to have these moments in time where maybe someone else is reflecting back to you, whether it is like a coach that you're working with, or even if you're just doing like a guided meditation. I find myself doing this quite often where like just something sparks this realization like, oh, I've kind of been living a little bit below where I want to be in terms of my nervous system capacity, which obviously has a direct reflect and a direct correlation to the capacity that you can hold for clients and cash in your business, right?
Yeah, absolutely it does. Like, because if your body is not going to feel safe, um, like there is no way you're going to scale. And it's like I feel like also like especially like this concept of being able to hold more and your nervous system to feel safe. It does definitely has been coming over the last few days, over the last few years with the whole awakening. Um so that people would just, yeah, like the energy just around how money comes to you, how you earn money has just changed and shifted so much. And I've just not seen it within myself. I've been seeing it in like other very successful entrepreneurs. Like they were super successful before, and now they're wondering like why can I not just continue doing and hustle and be in survival, and why is it not flowing like before? Because it doesn't work anymore. So that's why I found this work to be like super important to see, and yeah, to integrate more of nervous system capacity and regulation as well.
I love that. I love that so much because it also, like, I just kind of had this moment while you were talking of getting this bigger picture of when we're operating in those very like masculine linear structures of like chasing and hustling and grinding, right? We're effectively putting our energy and attention outside of ourselves, outside of our body, right? But like as women, we are designed not to chase, but to attract. We're designed to magnetize. And we can't do that if our energy body is not in coherence with our physical body, if we're not like
Yeah.
fully present and grounded in our body, right? We're, like this is it takes the two of those things putting together to create your electromagnetic field, right? And so like when we're not living in that coherence, we're in this place of like, well, the answers are out there, the money is out there, the clients are out there, the service is out there, right? As opposed to like the service is right here,
Yeah,
the
and
wealth
that's
is
what you
right
need.
here.
Yeah.
Like,
So
and
true.
coming back,
Yeah.
yeah, coming back into this place of we it like the universe is going to kick you in the ass until you learn to slow down enough to be present in your body at minimum.
Yeah.
But obviously you can optimize that through all of the tools in your toolkit, nervous system regulation, and all of the wonderful things that you do. And so I'm curious, as we're talking about this and you've talked about a bunch of the tools in your toolkit which are amazing, how do you know which one to use at any given time?
That's a great question. I feel like at this point I just do it very intuitively. Like I just
Okay.
kind of like, yeah, I just because I have them all there in my mind and I really just let myself be guided. Like when I started, I was like much more, I would usually go in a call before with the person and see like, okay, what's the thing that they're wanting to clear or work on? Is it going to be more like energy work? Is it going to be more like an expansion exercise? Is it going to be more like um, a clearing? So, and then I would like prepare my whole script before. But now, since I've seen over like 150 clients or so after a few years, so I do really just tap into it intuitively. I know it sounds so boring, but it's honestly just the truth.
No, that's not boring at all. I think that that's one of the markers actually of someone that you know is really great at what they do and someone that has an immense amount of authority in what they do. Because it's no different than like if I would go into a corporation and find someone who's maybe been a manager there for 20 years and they're really great at managing people and they're awesome at managing their projects. And I would say, how do you know what to tell one of your employees at any given amount? They would, they probably would have a similar answer. They would say something to the effect of like, well, you know, it's intuitive. It's according to how that person has maybe been operating lately. What have they been struggling with lately? Where have they actually been really performing really well lately? And how can, you go through a whole codex, right? Like
Right. Yes.
intuitive mental codex of like, and I think that's something really wonderful about also all of us, like awakened, conscious, very neurodivergent group of people that we are, that we have this really innate ability, right, to like, as people are telling us things, we're like, we're mentally in a
Picking up.
way and energetically in a way, right, almost taking each thing and laying it out on like a board like it's a puzzle piece. And then like the more that they talk to us, the more that we're like, oh, these pieces go together, these pieces go together, and we're like creating the bigger picture that they can't see.
100%. Yeah, this is such a good, yeah, that's like literally how my mind is running in a session. I'm like, okay, I'm hearing this. Okay, let me put it there. Okay, and then we just kind of like go through, usually for the one that sticks out the most, and piece the things together and create the bigger picture. And usually um like sometimes when a new client comes in, like you see at the beginning, okay, these are all the points that I want to hit, like how you said it, like you go intuitively through your whole codex of what are the things we should work on or release on. But then of course, like we're all humans and we're all like evolving so fast, so maybe next session it's going to be a whole different, not a whole different topic, but things already like probably released itself or cleared itself much faster than thought. So now what? So now we're gonna feel into it again and see what is the most presenting thing at that time. And like I feel like especially as an intuitive empath, you pick up on the energy, like which story that they're telling is the most heaviest one, which story maybe is the brain like being very smart and trying to protect itself, right? Like when the brain is like making up a story just to actually distract us from the thing that's behind it. So these are all things happening inside my brain on the session. Yeah.
Yeah, we are not surface level people. We're not here to put a band-aid on things, right? Like we're here to not just listen to the words, but to energetically read between the lines and to pick up on the things that are going on even deeper so that we can get to the heart of the problem, right? Like you could say like the surface level is like, I'm not making enough money, and you're over here like, well, yeah, that's because underneath the money is your nervous system that's all whacked.
Yeah, exactly. For example, right? Yeah. Or like, yeah, I don't know, like why I'm not showing up, or I'm like sabotaging, or I feel lazy. No, like you're not lazy. You just need a break. You're overwhelmed, or you don't trust your intuition to give you the right step. Like your brain is doing a very good job in distracting you, but you know actually what you're supposed to be doing, but your brain is afraid of you getting out of the comfort zone, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you have to, like you said, like you're someone who's been doing this long enough to know. Long enough to know, long enough to see the patterns. You have the knowledge and the wisdom to see what's really, and I think for most people, I know I find this, and I'm sure you do too, that for most people, it's never really ever like just one thing.
No.
You're not ever just like, oh, you have this energetic blockage and it's stuck in the left side of your heart, and so we need to clear it. It's like, okay, yeah, that's there, but like that's there because of the limiting belief that you picked up on when you were 5 years old. And then,
Mhm.
and it starts this whole spiral of,
That's so
again,
true.
it's like
Yeah.
the surface level problems all the way down to like the root cause
Oh,
problems. And once you open that can of worms, it starts to fan out and make other things noticeable. So like you said, from one session to another, like you might start over here, but then in the next session you got to go over here, and then in the next session you're going over there. You're kind
exactly.
of
So it kind of,
moving around.
you just follow the breadcrumbs at the end of the day. What comes up,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does a typical program with you look like? I mean, I'm sure that you have a multitude of different offerings in your suite, but like if someone wanted to work one-on-one with you and their biggest problem was obviously like that they're not making enough business in their wealth, would you say that your most effective form of um, program or your most effective medicine, is like inside of 3 months, or is it 6 months?
Got
Like
it.
how,
Yeah.
what is
Like,
kind of the ideal for you?
yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, usually ideal, I would say most people start off with like 3 months, but then they usually be there for like a year or 2 years.
Oh
Um,
wow, okay.
yeah, like I guess they love my energy. They love to stick around for some time, but like I would say ideal, like it's usually like 3 months up to 6 months because there's like such a huge shift that can happen. Like, I don't know, like one client, we're working together for like 3 months and she was not making lots of consistent money in her business, but at the end of those 3 months, she could quit her side job. She had scaled to repeatable 8K months. So yeah, so there is like, of course, like I have like smaller offers as well, like a 1 day VIP, a Telegram day, for example, or a 6 week offer as well. Like that's like quite an intense one, which is pretty amazing because you're getting 6 sessions in 6 weeks. So that's amazing. But then of course, like if we're looking like change also, like it also depends on the brain, right? Like how fast is it picking up? How much action are you taking? But I would say like an amazing shift can usually be seen between like 3 to 6 months. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. And I love to hear that people are obviously experiencing such wonderful shifts within that time frame that they're upselling themselves into staying with you for twice or 3 or 4 times that long, right? That they're like, wow, I can't that, I think that's one of the markers when you know that you are not only offering something that is super quality and so in alignment with your soul's mission, but also that the structure of your business is operating effectively, right? Is when you don't, again, like you don't have to hustle, you don't have to grind, and you don't have to chase. You're just here. You're just here offering what you're offering, and the people are coming to you and they're saying, I can't imagine my life without you. So please let me keep paying you money to keep being in my life doing this work for the next year.
Send them all in. No, seriously. No, but I do love it as well. Maybe it's also like my own, like how I usually operate with coaches as well. Like usually I stay with them for a long time. Um so maybe that's just like why people also love to be in my energy for quite some time. And yeah, I feel like overall, like the feeling of having a one-on-one session, I've did also group sessions before, right? I don't focus on them right now. Right now I have a lot of like one-on-one offers, but it's also like it's just beautiful to be fully seen and heard once or twice, like once a month or twice a month. Because in this fast world that we're living, that's like really something that just like is being forgotten sometimes, right? So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, because there's definitely something to be said. You mentioned this earlier on that calibrating your subconscious mind and your nervous system lays the groundwork. It like lays the foundation for you being able to say like, yes, I am worthy of this. Yes, I know I can trust myself to do this. I have the confidence to do it, right? But then once you get going, it's very much like an onion, like I think of Shrek and the onion and like peeling back the layers. And so like you know that you were confident enough to get it started, but now the question is, do you feel like you can trust yourself enough to hold regular 10K months? Now the question is, do you trust yourself enough to hold 100K months? Like whatever that next level is for you, it peels back in layers. So it's not just laying the foundation, it's also the ongoing
Yeah.
work it takes to continue to calibrate to where God is calling you higher.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a constant recalibration and a constant um expansion. And like it's also not like we don't need to heal ourselves like 24/7, right? But like
Mhm.
things will come up as we go. And luckily you can never undo the work that you've already done. But of course, like if you want to continue to grow, yeah, some investment has to happen. Like you can either invest time, you can invest your nervous system, your sweat, tears, or you can invest in yourself, in your growth, which is like a huge part of business growth, especially as female hard-led entrepreneurs, right? So you decide at the end of the day. And of course, you also decide with your investments, how fast will I go? Like that is, you decide. Like, of course, you can do everything without investing. Probably going to take you until you're like 100 years old. But yeah, so we all decide at the end of the day. Like, I always find it like also sometimes, how do I say this? Like, it always sounds like so cute and fun. Oh yeah, I'm just going to start an online business. Like, I can just make money out from the internet, which is such a cute and naive belief. Like, there is literally
Sounds cute.
That's so cute. Like, there's literally like no company out there, like a solid company that has not invested millions of dollars and went into debt before they were able to create millions of dollars in revenue. Like, there's just none. Like, literally none. So yeah, sometimes I've that's also important to think of. Yeah, as a business owner as well. That's always, yeah, thinking of.
Well, and it goes back to what you were saying just a little bit ago when you said, that it's so much easier for you now as a business owner to continue to make, multiple figure months on the regular, but part of that is because you also continue to invest in your own coaching and your own up leveling. And what a lot of people don't understand is not only that it is like that old adage, it takes money to make money, like that's super true, but the reason it's super true is because of the universal law of mirrors, right? So like when you make an investment, let's say a $10,000 investment in a coach or a program that's going to get you where you want to go, then you become an energetic match for people investing $10,000 into you. And the beauty part is you only have to invest the one $10,000. That's the one of it going out, right? But then you could have 5 or 10 clients each investing their $10,000 in you. And then you've just like not only gotten your return on your investment, but you've multiplied it 10 times.
Yeah, because you literally become an energetic match for it.
Yeah.
As simple.
Yeah. Well, the work that you do is so wonderful and so beautiful, and I know we could talk about it all day. I'm sure that we will do a second, maybe a third, fourth, fifth podcast episode together again in the future. For now, if people want to reach you, do you want to share a little bit more about like your website, your socials? Where can people find you?
Sure, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram. I am Sarah with an H, curl, CURRLE. Pretty simple. Facebook, sarah.currle. And then website, actually pretty much the same, sarah.currle.com. So pretty easy. You can find me there. Oh, are you still there?
My screen froze.
Lauren?
Oh no.
Trying to
Can you hear me, Sarah?
just happened.
Okay. I'm not sure if Sarah can still hear me or not. My screen on this side got frozen, but I will make sure to drop all of her information for you inside the show notes and in the description to this episode. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Soul Strategy and Sovereignty. Many, many dynamic blessings for your money, your business, and your life. Cheers, y'all.